Under the blinding lights of a sold-out arena, the air crackles with electric anticipation. Fans roar, their voices blending into a thunderous wave that shakes the very foundation of the stadium. Tonight isn't just any match. It's a battle of two titans, a showdown between a legend and a challenger who refuses to bow. On one side of the ring stands The Rock, the WWE icon, the people's champion, a man whose name is etched in wrestling history. On the other stands Conor, a fighter with something to prove, a force that rose from the underground circuit to challenge one of the greatest of all time. No one expected him to make it this far, but here he is, staring down the man who built an empire on his fists, charisma, and unbreakable will. The tension between them is palpable. Every step The Rock takes carries the weight of decades of dominance, his presence alone enough to send shivers down the spine of his opponents. But Conor isn't just another name on the list. He's younger, hungrier, and unlike anyone The Rock has faced before. He isn't here for fame or the cheers of the crowd. He's here to prove a point. His journey has been carved through hardship, battles fought in the shadows, in rings that never had cameras, where only raw strength and skill decided the victor. This isn't just about winning a match. For Conor, it's about rewriting history, about proving that even legends can fall. As the bell prepares to sound, flashes of their paths to this moment flicker through their minds. The Rock has taken on giants, survived wars inside the squared circle, and stood against the best in the industry. But time changes everything. Doubts linger in the corners of even the most iron-willed competitors. Does he still have what it takes to hold his ground against a fighter whose style is unpredictable, whose strikes carry the force of someone who has never been given anything, who has had to take everything? Conor doesn't rely on showmanship or crowd-pleasing theatrics. His fists do the talking, his every move calculated to dismantle his opponent piece by piece. The crowd is divided. Some cheer for the legend, unwilling to let go of the past, while others chant Conor's name, eager to witness the rise of something new. The Rock's expression remains unreadable, but Conor sees it, the flicker of something behind his eyes. Is it doubt? Recognition? Or just another veteran assessing the storm that's about to hit him? The bell is about to ring. The world is watching. But what happens next will change the landscape of wrestling forever. The bell rings, and for a moment, time seems to stretch, the crowd's deafening roar fading into the background. Conor and The Rock stand motionless, eyes locked, each waiting for the other to make the first move. The tension is suffocating, like the air before a thunderstorm. Then, without warning, Conor lunges forward. His movements are sharp, calculated, honed from years of battling opponents who never gave him a moment to breathe. The Rock sidesteps just in time, barely dodging the opening strike, but Conor is relentless, pressing forward with a flurry of blows. The legend deflects, his years of experience allowing him to stay just out of reach. But there's something different about this fight, something he hasn't felt in a long time. Conor isn't just fast, he's unpredictable. He moves with a fluidity that breaks the rhythm of a traditional wrestling match, a style that's foreign to the WWE ring. It's a brutal combination of speed, strength, and raw aggression, a style forged in places where there were no bright lights, no cameras, only survival. The Rock absorbs a heavy forearm to the ribs, his body recoiling for the first time. The impact isn't just physical, it carries a message. Conor is here to take everything, and he isn't waiting for permission. The crowd is in a frenzy, some stunned into silence, others chanting in disbelief. The Rock, a man who has spent years turning back challengers, now finds himself on the defensive. He grits his teeth, rolling out of the way just as Kono's knee swings dangerously close to his jaw. A fraction of a second slower, and he would have been sent crashing to the mat. But he's still standing. He's still the Rock. And if Kono thinks he can walk in and take his place, he's got another thing coming. Somewhere in the back, watching from the shadows of the arena, are the ones who know what's really at stake. Industry veterans, promoters, even rival wrestlers, everyone is watching. This isn't just about a match, it's about the future. If Kono wins, it won't just be a victory. It will be a statement, a seismic shift in the balance of power. The new blood forcing the old guard to step aside. But there's another layer to this fight, something that hasn't been spoken about openly. The whispers in the locker room, the rumors that Kono didn't just rise to this stage by chance. Some say he's connected to something bigger, something outside the squared circle, forces that have been waiting for the right moment to shake the foundation of professional wrestling itself. The Rock counters with a sharp elbow, catching Kono just enough to create space. He rolls his shoulders, testing the damage, and then he smirks just a little. A flicker of the old fire. If this kid wants a fight, he's going to get one. The Rock surges forward, faster than expected, and suddenly, it's Kono on the defensive. A powerful right hand crashes into his ribs, followed by another, each one carrying years of experience and precision. He staggers back, but only for a second. His eyes narrow, his expression unreadable. And then he does something that freezes even the Rock in place. Kono grins. A slow, knowing grin, as if he's just confirmed something he suspected all along. The Rock knows that look. It's the look of someone who isn't just here to fight. He's here for something more. Something personal. The legend takes a step back, reassessing, but Kono doesn't give him time to think. He moves in again, this time with even more intensity, his strikes landing harder, faster. The Rock blocks some, absorbs others, but it's clear now this isn't just another match. This is something else entirely. The crowd's energy shifts. They can feel it too. There's something different about this fight, something beneath the surface that no one can quite put into words. But in the ring, there's no time for questions. Only action. And as the battle rages on, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. This isn't going to end the way anyone expects. The Rock steadies himself, breathing heavier now, the weight of the fight settling into his muscles. He's been in countless battles, faced legends and monsters alike, but something about Kono is different. He's faster than expected, his strikes sharper, and his endurance unnerving. But what unsettles the Rock even more isn't just Kono's ability, it's his attitude. Most challengers in this position would be desperate, wild with adrenaline, but Kono remains eerily calm, even in the chaos of battle. That grin, that look in his eyes, it's not just confidence. It's as if he knows something the Rock doesn't. A brutal knee slams into the Rock's ribs, forcing him back a step, and for the first time, doubt creeps in. He's been tested before, but this is different. Kono isn't here to put on a show or make a name for himself. He's fighting like a man on a mission, like someone who isn't leaving without taking something. The Rock absorbs another blow, then counters with a massive spinebuster, slamming Kono into the mat. The arena erupts, and for a brief moment, the energy shifts. The Rock feeds off it, pulling himself together, reminding himself of who he is. But just as he moves in for the next attack, Kono does something unexpected. He laughs. It's not mocking. It's not arrogance. It's something worse. It's knowing. Like he expected that move, like everything is going exactly as planned. The Rock hesitates for just a second, but it's enough. Conor twists his body in an unnatural motion, catching The Rock with a vicious sweep that knocks him off balance. He crashes onto the mat, and before he can recover, Conor is on him, locking in a submission hold so tight it cuts off circulation. The crowd is on their feet, some screaming for The Rock to fight back, others stunned into silence. And then the lights flicker. It's subtle at first, barely noticeable, but then it happens again. A low hum vibrates through the arena, a strange, almost unearthly sound. The screens around the ring glitch for a split second, flashes of static breaking through the live feed. It's quick, so quick that most of the audience brushes it off. But The Rock notices. So does Conor. Their eyes meet again, but this time, there's something else in the air. A realization. Whatever is happening, it's bigger than just this match. Somewhere in the back, officials scramble, whispering into headsets, trying to figure out the cause of the disruption. But no one has answers. Some say it's a technical malfunction, a simple glitch in the production system. But others, the ones who have been paying attention, aren't so sure. Conor's presence here has been a mystery from the start. No one knew where he came from, only that he arrived with a reputation built in places that don't appear on television. And now, as the match takes a darker turn, those whispers return. Is this fight really about winning? Or is Conor here for something else entirely? The Rock fights through the pain, using his strength to force Conor off him, but the damage is done. He staggers to his feet, and for the first time in years, he feels vulnerable. Not just physically, but in a way he can't quite explain. Conor watches him carefully, that same unreadable expression on his face. And then, just as he takes a step forward, the lights flicker again, this time longer. The screens distort, flashing symbols that don't belong, images that vanish too quickly to be recognized. The crowd gasps, confused, nervous. Conor doesn't move. He just watches, waiting. Because whatever is happening, it isn't over yet. And The Rock is starting to realize that this fight is only the beginning. The arena feels different now. The energy has shifted, the roars of the crowd dulled by an unshakable tension hanging in the air. The Rock stands tall, but his breaths are deeper, his body aching from the relentless punishment he's taken. Across from him, Conor remains eerily composed, rolling his shoulders as if he hasn't just been through a war. But the real battle isn't just between them anymore. The flickering lights, the static-filled screens, the strange distortions, something bigger is at play, and both men know it. Without warning, Conor moves, his speed defying the damage he's taken. He launches forward, but The Rock is ready this time. He ducks the first strike, counters with a thunderous punch that connects flush, sending Conor stumbling back. The crowd erupts, their belief in the legend reigniting as he presses forward, hammering his challenger with everything he has left. A spinebuster shakes the ring, the force enough to make the ropes tremble. The Rock doesn't hesitate. He knows what comes next. He stands over Conor, glancing at the roaring fans, then rips off his elbow pad, throwing it into the crowd. The people's elbow. The move that has finished legends. He bounces off one rope, then the other, his body surging with adrenaline as he leaps. But mid-air, the lights cut out completely. The arena plunges into darkness. Gasps ripple through the audience, confusion turning into unease. The only sound is the distant hum of electricity struggling to stabilize. Then, just as quickly as they vanished, the lights return, but the scene has changed. The Rock is no longer standing. He's on his knees, his head low, as if something had drained the fight out of him in an instant. Conor is standing over him, completely untouched, staring down with that same knowing grin. The referee looks around, unsure of what just happened. The crowd is in shock. The Rock was mid-move, seconds away from ending it all, and now he's broken. A silence falls over the stadium, heavier than any before. The Rock slowly lifts his head, his eyes clouded, distant. When he finally rises, he doesn't look like the same man. The fire is gone. The unshakable confidence, the defiance extinguished. Conor takes a step back, gesturing toward him as if inviting him to make a choice. The Rock looks around, at the thousands watching, at the cameras capturing every second. Then, in a move no one could have predicted, he nods and drops to one knee. The audience explodes, voices colliding in disbelief. The referee hesitates, unsure of what to do. This wasn't in the script. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. But The Rock doesn't resist. He stays on one knee, staring up at Conor, acknowledging something no one else understands. And then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he extends his hand. Conor looks down, amused, before taking it. The moment their hands connect, the screens flicker again, flashing images too quick to process. A symbol appears for just a second, unfamiliar, unsettling before vanishing as if it was never there. Then, just like that, the lights stabilize. The Rock stands, his expression unreadable. Conor turns toward the ropes, stepping onto the apron before hopping down to the floor. No victory celebration, no grand moment of triumph, just silence. He walks up the ramp, disappearing into the shadows as the stunned audience watches in disbelief. The Rock remains in the ring, motionless. The match never had an official ending. No bell, no clear winner. But somehow, it feels like the fight had always been about something else. Something beyond championships or legacy. And whatever it was, only two people in that building understood the truth. The screen fades to black, but just before it does, the camera catches one last glimpse of The Rock's face. No frustration, no regret. Just acceptance. And the faintest trace of a smile.